What I'm working with from the vortex now is those feelings that really hit me when I'm out of the vortex. And seeing how I can work with it to see how it's good.
But you see, this is really the new methodology that we're offering to you. When something really hits you, it's really out of the vortex. So later, Gator, hitting it head on will only practice the outside the vortex vibration longer. So let it go and choose something easy that takes you in the vortex. And then from inside the vortex, you might just find the other end of that stick. That's the thing that we really want you to hear. Let's dramatize this in more detail. So let's say that you have 10 subjects that are important to you. And 9 of them are, just for fun, 9 of them in their current state are outside the vortex, in their current state of how you feel about them, in your current habit of thought, and in your current manifestation, they're not where you want them to be. 9 of them aren't. And so when you think about them, it's painful. Mm-hmm. And so what you were just saying is, I want to think about them and I want to take them into the vortex. And we say, or you could choose the one subject that is already in the vortex, that's really easy for you to get into the vortex, and you could just focus upon that one subject sort of incessantly, sort of obsessively. Just focus on it for no good reason other than it feels good when you do. Not trying to make anything happen, just focusing on it because it feels good, focusing on it because it feels good, focusing on it because it feels good. And because you do it so often, you let your vortex, which contains everything you want on all 10 subjects, you let the vortex train you into that higher frequency because you're focused on the one. And as you let that vortex train you into the higher frequency, now all of those other 9 subjects are revealed to you in the solution viewpoint. Don't you love knowing that? So what just happened? What happened was you used any excuse you could find to get into the vortex. The vortex trained you to a higher frequency where the other end of all of those sticks was then revealed to you. That's the way it works. And if you try it the other way, if you say, oh, never mind thing that's working, I have to go diligently work on what isn't working, that just trains you into that frequency and prevents you from going into the vortex. Isn't that good to know?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it feels a little fake to let it, to ignore it, because it's your habit of thought. But that's why we want the vortex to become a stronger habit of thought. That's why we're talking about it here. You're right. When what you're thinking about is active, so it's showing itself to you. But you do, now that you understand the vortex, now that you understand the law of attraction, now that you understand your emotions, now that you understand in the vortex and not in the vortex, now you understand what your feelings mean, you can guide yourself to that better feeling subject, And not only that, there aren't just 10. There are thousands of subjects, many of which already feel good. In other words, our analogy was really skewed. A better way of telling the story is 9 things are working and 1 issue isn't. Mm-hmm. And most people use the 1 issue as their reason not to stay in the vortex where the other things already are. And so you deprive yourself of all the good you've already amassed sometimes, you see. So what would you say is at the basis of what this predominant discussion has been here today? Would you say that what we're talking about is the importance of the vortex? We'll give you a few choices. The importance of the vortex, the importance of focus, the importance of feeling or emotion. What is the most important? What's the highest priority that we have come across today? Vortex, focus, or feeling? Vortex.
Well, it is feeling. It is feeling. Because feeling tells you how you're focused. And focusing, you got to focus yourself into the vortex. So if you care about how you feel, it will show you how to focus. And if you care about how you feel enough, you'll find that one thing that is in the vortex that will take you in, and then everything else takes care of itself, because now you're hooked up with the current, and now things start happening. Here's another way of looking at it. So we've been talking about the emotional scale from time to time, and on the far end of not feeling good is fear or depression. It's that total feeling of out of controlness. And on the really good feeling end is love and appreciation. It's a feeling of empowerment. And so the vortex is over here spinning in those good feelings that we would describe as love and appreciation and passion, that exhilarating feeling. And hope resides just outside the vortex, and anger is way outside, and frustration is further away than hope. But so there's far out here fear and depression, and then there's anger, and then there's a little less anger. And another way of saying that is there's really specific, more general. In other words, follow the thought about that. The things that you're really upset about are the things you've really thought about a lot, and you've really got active in your vibration. And law of attraction has really brought you a lot of information and a lot of experience about it. And that's why you're really mad, because you've been holding yourself really long for really far away from who you want to be. But even more, all of those things that you really don't want, you've put what you really do want, and what you really do want is calling you in a really strong way, but you're not going, so it feels really bad. So here you are, sort of out there practicing what comes easy, because law of attraction's dishing it up to you, and the thoughts are coming, and the thoughts are coming, and the thoughts are coming. So if we say focus, and you're focusing, then you're saying, oh, then let's talk about these issues. Then I should talk about this thing that's gone wrong and this thing that's gone wrong. And that's what makes you want to call people up. It's what makes you want to get people on your side. It's what makes you want to explain your point of view. In other words, you just sort of spin in your own juices, obsessing and stewing. But if you are focusing on feeling in all of that, if feeling is what matters, then you realize right away that you're going about it in a sort of screwy way. And in focusing on feeling rather than upon the subject, you release. It gets more general. And as it gets more general or more deactivated, because you've activated your intention for emotion rather than your intention for thought. You with us? You've got your attention upon emotion rather than upon the issue, rather than upon who's right or who's wrong about whatever it is. Your attention is upon your feeling. Your attention is upon your feeling, which means your attention is upon your relationship with your vortex. Your attention is upon your relationship with your source. So now what happens in that softer, more general accomplishment is the vortex then draws you closer. You are flexible and pliable and gettable by the vortex. In other words, the vortex takes you in. And as the vortex takes you in and you hang around there, now if your attention is still upon emotion, then you're milking the vortex for more. Then that's what we were wanting to achieve as we were playing together today. We wanted you to go higher and higher and higher. We wanted you to feel the clarity of being in the vortex. We wanted you to feel the fun of it and the speed of it and the momentum of it and the power of it. We wanted you to feel the specifics of it and the deliberateness of it. We wanted you to feel the collective consciousness of it. We wanted you to feel the source of it. We wanted you to feel the God of it, the energy of it, the force of it, the leverage of it, the inertia of it, the power of it. We wanted you to feel the power of the vortex, you see. But it's all emotion. It's the feeling of it. We weren't wanting you to so much conjure the thought as we were wanting you to find the feeling of it, you see. The other day, a man came to the gathering, and we were on one of those rampages where we're going higher and higher and higher. And he said he was a drummer, and he came forward and beat us a very wonderful drum solo on the stage. And no words were being offered. Can't take it anymore, huh? No words were being offered. No words were being offered at all. Just a rhythm from the place of being in the vortex. And we've never seen an audience go higher. So that brings us to wanting to say to you that there are things in your life that take you high into the vortex that you deprive yourself of for the sake of gaining clarity. And we say, give up the clarity and go straight for the good stuff. Go to the ball games, go to the concerts, get the massages, put your feet in the water, walk on the beach, make love with each other, have glorious physical experiences, do anything and everything you can. But begin approaching life from an emotional basis. And as you begin approaching life with emotion being your highest priority, the vortex will be the next logical step. And once the vortex is the next logical step, then manifestations of all things that you've been asking for will then be the next logical step. So then you get a sort of synergy going where you felt good for no good reason other than you wanted to feel good. And now you're in the vortex, and now the vortex is surrounding you with all kinds of evidence that you're in the vortex. And now all kinds of manifestations are revealing themselves to you, which you are now appreciating with everything you've got. And so it just spins from good to better, to better, to better, to better, to better, to better, to better. There's no going back for any of you. Perhaps we should have asked Jerry and Esther to put that on the disclaimer that you signed when you said that you wouldn't take pictures and that you would turn your cell phones off and all of that stuff. Maybe there should be a paragraph that says, oh, and by the way, I acknowledge as I read these guidelines that once I have sat in the vicinity of the vortex for a period of time as long as this day, that my vibration is ever changed and I cannot go back. That my relationship with the vortex is ever changed. And that from this point forward, when I dip out of the vortex, I'm going to feel it in a stronger way. Yes, I'm going to feel it in a stronger way. Bless that powerful emotion that lets me know what my proximity is to who I am and everything that I want. And everything else in this magnificent universe, all other people, all other conversations, everything in comparison with that is irrelevant. And once you're there, then you're there. Enough?
If you want me to be enough.
Good.
Good. Thank you.
So when you go home, they're going to say, so what happened? And you say, well, I learned what's important. And they'll say, what's important? Say, how I feel. And they'll say, oh. And you'll say, but there's more. I learned that I'm in control of how I feel. It's up to me, nobody else. So you're off the hook. Say that to everyone you know. You're off the hook. I'm in charge of how I feel. I'm in charge of how I feel. And I'm no longer holding you or anyone or anything responsible for how I feel. I'm on this, yes.